another Solid Gold podcast.
Oh, goodness me. Yes, it's always fun and games with Melanie and Jenny here on SAPeople.com. I think it's possibly because I get to see the gorgeous face. And of course, that's just a reminder that you can actually not just hear us, but you can also see us if you go along to the YouTube channel, which we have set up, and you can go and check us out there. And of course, it's Jenny Baxter over in Antibes, even though she's like staying in Caen at the moment. Oh, you're such a jet setter, Jenny.
It's only 10 minutes down the road. I wish it was more glam. Hello.
And looking very summery there. So obviously summer's hit, whereas winter's now hit here. I think the Cape Townians went and left their fridge doors open again because we had all that rain last week. And then suddenly, I mean, we're like, it was really hot and then it was really rainy and now it's really cold. So, you know, we're just confused. As we were saying last week, you know, Mother Nature must be blonde because we have no idea what's going on.
Did you see that thing Gus Silber was saying with all the load shedding that he went to a place called Rise and Grind, I think.
Yeah, I know exactly where it is. Yeah, I've actually been there to the refillery and I saw it there. So they've got a hot spot. What do they call it? A hot something or the other where you can go and work there. And I mean, there are a few of those around, but that one seemed like really good value for money.
Yeah, so nice. It sort of made me almost envy having to go and work in a work together spot, you know, having your load shedding. Although somebody else said this morning, because I think it's on 6 at the moment or something.
Who knows?
Somebody
Only Eskom's a push.
But I saw somebody saying this morning really early. She said, "Oh, I woke up at 4:30 this morning. I've made meals for 3 days." Because she had to do everything before 6 o'clock, I think, because then it was going to be load shedding.
Yep, 8 until 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was 6 to 10, and then we got another 4 hour, I think, this afternoon, and then 2 hours. So we had 4 hours last night from 10 till 2, then we were off from 6 till 10.
That's okay, because you can sleep then.
Yeah, except that's when I usually do my best work at 10 o'clock at night and when I want to watch TV if I have been working. So it is a bit annoying, but at least I've managed to sort out various ways of being able to actually do it. And that's the only time, kind of like late afternoon, evening, but fortunately cooking with gas is the way to go. And I think everybody should just start getting little KDAC heaters and KDAC stuff because it ain't going to get any better. And I'm still kind of on the fence after reading the one of the things that one of our other lovely people that we share her stories a lot, Viv for Mark, about a friend who was disgruntled with the whole solar power thing. So I'm kind of looking at that and thinking, well, yeah, it's a very big expense and everybody, you're saving so much money, but you're not actually at the end of the day at the moment. I would personally be prepared to look into green hydrogen as an alternative energy. So that's what I will be doing some research on.
You know, I had lunch the other day with a South African expat who lives in America, and he is involved in a company, and they've done a couple of big projects in South Africa, but you really get your money's worth for the solar panels because what they've invented is the iron things, whatever they're called, hinges that make the panels move like a sunflower with the sun.
With the sun itself. That's not a bad idea.
Yes, so then you're capturing more solar energy. And in fact, no, I was going to segue into another big story in South Africa this week.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm still kind of looking at the thing about the batteries and lithium ion and all of that kind of stuff, and I'm not very happy about the idea of, they're not particularly not user-friendly, but they're not environmentally friendly. There's the thing.
Lithium, and what about the poor little kids and adults and who are having to mine it? That's the worst, and that's all of us with our mobile phones, with everything. So
I've got a great idea to actually solve the energy crisis. Get rid of the government.
Oh, Mal. Actually, Athol Williams, he's a poet and a whistleblower who saw corruption in South Africa and is now actually having to live in England to protect himself because he wasn't protected by the government. And, with the coronation, of course, EFF and everybody was up in arms again because King Charles was carrying the scepter. It's one of those words I always read and never say out loud.
The scepter and orb.
So he was carrying that, and it has the Star of Africa, that huge Cullinan diamond that was given as a gift from South Africa. And so, EFF and other people are saying, give back the diamond.
Okay, does nobody ever teach them when they were young? Hey, if you give a present to somebody, you can't take it back.
However, one little point, because I've always kind of agreed with that. One little point, though, is that the people who gave the gift, being South Africa, were perhaps kind of British themselves at the time. When that gift was given, who was in charge of South Africa? Not really South Africans. So, but anyway, on to Athol Williams's point. And your point about the government.
Okay, but ultimately it's just a piece of shiny stuff, by the way. It's a rock. It's just a rock.
Exactly, and it brings joy to the whole world right now. But anyway, I mean, I've gone and seen it at the Tower of London. It's like seeing David in Florence. It takes your breath away. It really is beautiful. Anyway, so Athol Williams said that perhaps now is not exactly the time to have that diamond returned to the current government, who would probably love to,
steal it. Let's call a spade a spade. I was going to call it something else.
Yeah. He called them captains of corruption, which I thought was quite a nice way of saying it. So yeah, that was an interesting angle. Did you watch the coronation?
I have to admit that I did, under sufferance. But I did. Unfortunately, I got there too late to see Pretty Yende play singing because because I teach in the morning and then I had to go and do some stuff and run around and then go to wait for my friend whose house I was watching it at. So of course, by the time we got on, she had already sung and gone.
Oh, well, she was beautiful, and the whole world was writing about her and interviewing her. And I mean, she's already big news, but she's now even bigger news. What was really funny is you saying you were late, and Will and Kate were late, apparently because of their children. And a lip reader saw King Charles when he was still in the carriage saying to Camilla something like, we can never be on time. There's always something, And I think what I loved about it is that that's actually every family. Because my kids are always saying that it's us. Our family's always late. But, even King Charles and them are late. Everybody is late. And you were late.
I was late to watch that. But our family, as a family, we are not allowed to be late. I hate being late.
Yeah. I don't like it, but it happens.
Oh, so unfortunately I didn't get to see Pretty Yende. I would love to have seen that. But I did see some stuff afterwards. I mean, she is absolutely divine. And she looked divine, didn't she?
Oh, so beautiful. I think that dress took 180 hours to make. I don't think. I read that. 180 hours. It was a Stéphane Roland haute couture gown, specially made for the occasion. Mm-hmm. And for the events that night, Athol Williams again, because he's in England, and he's actually advised on reparations and everything. He was actually invited as a thank you for his contribution. He was invited by the royal household, so he went along and saw Lionel Richie, etc.
Okay. Well, I must say that talking about gowns, though, the one that really stood out for me, and I have no idea what her title is, wearing a very pale butter yellow, Finnegan, which is a strange name for a girl. But, I thought she looked absolutely divine. But you'll let me know who she is, because, I don't follow this stuff. Anyhow, so what else have you got that's made the big news apart from we were sitting there, he was coronated, and I'm like, no, he was crowned. No, but it's a coronation, yes, but he was crowned. He wasn't coronated, okay?
Oh, that's good. And another story that's just been making international, more viral on Facebook, but globally, not in South Africa, is our wonderful Kirsten Saffer, the sailor who recently won the round the world. Yeah. So when she was embarking on the race, this French chef who she had never met in her life contacted her and said, I would like to make you some food for every single day. And he made her food in these little jars. Just beautiful, all different kinds of foods for her palate. Just amazing, just such an act of kindness. And then she has, everybody's just been raving about her kindness and the time she has taken to meet everybody involved, blah, blah, blah. And she's just like you. She recycled all that glass and took it back to the chef. She had kept every single little jar and went back and thanked him in person and everything. So everybody's just been like, wow.
You see, this is the only thing. Everybody says to me, what would you do if you won the lotto? But it would have to be a lot of money, obviously. Well, first of all, I'd get a car that actually works, okay, because paying for your kids' studies and everything stops you from actually being able to buy a car. The second thing would be to have somebody who would make food for me every single day. Not all day, every day, but just to make food for me, because when you're feeding a family, let alone just feeding yourself, it'll be 2 boiled eggs and an avocado. Happiness, okay? But when you've got to feed a whole lot of people and you're like, what do you want to eat? And they're, what do you want to eat? And just say, chef, make food. And that's all I want in my life, is just somebody who will make food.
No.
I'd be very happy.
Do you have a thing in South Africa where you sign up and then every day they deliver the recipe and the exact ingredients, all freshly bought,
yes,
and then you just do that? Oh, you do? Well,
it's been going for a while. I've forgotten what it's called, but I have some friends who do that.
Well, there's different companies. Yeah.
But I kind of.
Oh, you don't even want to do the cooking?
No, not necessarily. I don't like cooking. What can I say? And trying to get anybody else in my house to do any cooking is an absolute nightmare. Don't go for the dishes. Anyway, let's get on to better stuff. Not family things, okay, but get-togethers of friends and family, I suppose, around the world. So, of course, every now and then you do come up with some on SAPeople.com, because we have some lovely people who follow us who actually then let you know about what's happening where there are get-togethers for South Africa. Or South Africans.
Exactly. Exactly. So that's all I was going to say, is just, if you follow the SA People Facebook page, you'll know wherever you are in the world if there is something coming up, or let us know if you're doing something. So kind of, in the last week on Monday, there was a pub quiz for the World Cup coming up and raising money for a good cause in South Africa at the Pig and Whistle. In London, and then in SW18, then in Portugal, there's the new group Scatterlings of Africa, who arrange, it's kind of like outdoor movie nights and braais, and there's boerewors, and so you just get your taste of home, but it's more than just a taste. So just stay in touch with all of that. And then another thing happening overseas that I just think is so worth going to see is it's a leopard and zebra urn. I don't know if you heard about it much in South Africa.
No. Well, no? I mean, people might have heard about it because I don't do news. I get my news fill from you.
Okay, so this urn is gorgeous and actually has imagine he has the huge urn, and then the leopard is actually coming out.
Like a handle?
Almost, but it's actually just a leopard. And and then there's other animals here at the bottom, which the zebras. There's a few zebras at the bottom also, coming out. So it's really beautiful. And
who was it made by?
I think I don't have the name with me, but I did send it to you. Do you have the name there?
Oh, yes.
There's a name and a painter.
And it was painted by Bongakile and Tumbela. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really awesome, really.
So is it kind of like, I mean, I'll have to have a look at a picture of it, but I mean, is it sort of like what they do down at like Ardmore, with the Ardmore pottery? Or is it like, what?
Yes.
I'll have to have a look at the picture. All right, we'll have a look at that.
Yes.
And that's going to be where? At the, you've got it here, Patrick Mavros flagship store in London, because it's making its journey to London, and that's from the 23rd to the 29th of May. In my old stomping grounds in Fulham Road.
Perfect.
I miss Fulham. I miss Chiswick as well. And then, of course, you've got some very, very sad news with something we were talking about last week. We were discussing about the fears of having your children going overseas, or people travelling on their own overseas and disappearing. And, of course, I would go full Liam Neeson in Taken if that happened. But we were discussing one person who disappeared in Thailand. What was the update on that?
Ruan Swanepoel, who was sort of last seen at the South African Embassy in Bangkok. So I'm not sure exactly what happened. He clearly did go looking for some help. And his family and everybody was searching. The Bangkok police did get involved. And unfortunately, he has been found and he is deceased. So we spoke to his family, and they just say thank you to everybody who helped look for him. And obviously they're really sad, so they haven't given us any further details, but we're really sorry.
Well, our condolences to his family, definitely. I mean, it's a horrible story. I know there's a lot of people who go missing just here at home as well, and people, I mean, it must be really kind of terrible. I mean, you've reported on a number of them where the people have been found, of people just disappearing, and we see a lot of that on social media every single day. This person's missing, this child's missing, this, that, and the other. So I think we all do and get involved and see how we can help in whatever way. But anyway, shame, man. All right, so let's get on to some happier news, some news from expats around the world. Who's been sending you what?
Well, Chanel Simmons, a South African expat who lives in America, has just won this tennis tournament that's one of the oldest tournaments in America, arguably the oldest. It's called OJA tennis tournament. It started in 1896, and it's had, Billie Jean King, people like that have won it before. So she's in Tracy Austin. Do you remember Tracy Austin?
No.
She was she was a great tennis player. I think at 16 she won the New York Open, the youngest person ever. And she was there. She was there this weekend for the competition because she was on it as well. So well done to Chanel. And then Ernst Roost, I don't know if you know him from AfriForum. He's been in Hungary. He just got back yesterday for a court case in South Africa, but he's been in Hungary, where there's been a lot of attention on South Africa, with like a thing that if you want to know what's going to happen in Western Europe, look at South Africa. So I don't understand, it was all in Afrikaans. But Ernst was talking about it.
Sy het mos so Afrikaans vergeet, jy weet. Jy gaan daar in Frankryk woon en jou Afrikaans is nou gaan. Ek weet nie waar dit is nie.
Ek verstaan die klein woorde, maar hulle het groot woorde.
Sy weet nie niks van die groot woorde nie.
It was so funny. The other day I walked into a friend's hotel. And she was there on her own, and it was a groot gemors. And I said to her, oh my, and she is German. And I said, oh my goodness, this is a groot gemors, Bernadette. And she said, what's that word? And then she tried to say it, and she's German, and she actually sounded more English than an Afrikaner. Like she couldn't get the groot,
Groot, yeah.
Funny.
It is a bit of a thing. I mean, my mother would never have been able to speak Afrikaans because she can't say R's, and so she couldn't roll them at all. So it just sounded absolutely ridiculous. Oh, goodness me. 'n Groot gemors. Dis 'n mosse groot gemors. En daar's baie ander dinge wat 'n groot gemors is as well. We'll come back to the Scottie Dogs in a moment, but I just want to talk about a big gemors, which I know is coming up with local news, because of course we both follow Joe Mbankulo, who is the Cabbage Bandit, who we had on the show a while back. Yeah, and he, as a It's not Isivenda. What does he speak? Why can't I remember now? I've got my brain has gone through a loop.
Sitsonga.
Tsonga. So, I mean, he had a whole piece about the fact, about the cock-up, let's put it that way, on the new banknotes, which we were talking about last week. Gewalt, I mean, the translation. And then there's some half-assed explanation about, the original one was actually wrong, which they had it right the first time, Banginkulu. And now it's Bangikulu, and so they're saying, no, we had it wrong the first time, and now we've righted it, which is nonsense, because as Joe says, actually they had it right the first time, so they mustn't come with this nonsense. He says, if it was in Zulu and there was a mistake, oh my God, they would have pulled all of those things back in again and had all of the new notes done. Ish. That's all we can say. Ish. Anyway. Yeah, there we go.
And I saw some people who speak the language said it's even kind of slightly changed the meaning. Even it's not just a typo. It's crazy.
Yeah, this is what happens. I mean, look, we only have 12. We have 12 official languages in South Africa, of course, with sign language now. It's SASL, South African Sign Language, now being made our 12th language. So, if you don't have the right people doing it, it's like when I'm reading things, if you're trying to sell me something and you are, aiming it at an English-speaking audience, for goodness sake, get somebody who understands English at least to make sure that you spell things right and put the English out there right. Because if I see any spelling mistakes or anything, I'm just like, okay, pass. Swipe left or swipe right or whichever way you swipe it. I'm not looking at it because I can't bear it. So,
So I imagine for everybody that speaks Sitsonga, that would be so frustrating.
How annoying that must be. I mean, I would be up in arms about it, but please don't take to the streets and burn all the money. Okay, if you burn the money, you're not going to get it back. Anyway, so talking about taking to the streets, of course, I was on my favourite little walk, my Wednesday morning walks, and I bumped into 2 little Scottie dogs today, which of course put me in mind of the story of the Scotties that was stuck up in Sudan. Is it in Sudan?
Sudan, yeah. They had been trying to escape from Sudan, and Adam, who said no, they're part of the family, he stayed with them. They managed to get out of Sudan, and then they were stuck in no man's land. Well, good news is on Thursday, the 2 little Scottie dogs will be flying home to OR Tambo Airport. And then Adam, unfortunately, could not get onto the same flight, but he's on the next flight. And Amanda Lee, who has just been so instrumental in helping make this happen and get them safely back to South Africa, she is waiting for permission from the Department of Agriculture for her to be able to go and welcome the Scottie dogs onto South African soil.
They're such
we
lovely,
shall be all
and
alone until Adam
dogs.
arrives.
Yeah, we can't call them little dogs. I had 2. They're actually quite big dogs, just with short legs.
Medium.
Just you think that they're little dogs, but they're not. Okay, so let's get back to the local good news. Okay, and the one that I like because I've actually done a podcast with Malcolm Gooding, who many people will remember from the radio days, with the man with the wonderful voice, who's still around and still doing amazing stuff, not necessarily on radio, but doing reading audiobooks and things like that. He's just got the best voice going, apart from Ray Flavine, of course. And I've interviewed him because he has an olive farm down in the Western Cape, and he creates his own olive oil and olive products. And of course, South Africa's in the news for having their olive products, because we have a very, very viable olive production in South Africa.
So that's amazing. So that must be because the Western Cape gets cold enough, because you need a frost for it to turn or work or whatever, apparently. But yes, so there was a competition recently, which Evulium, which is extra virgin olive oil Liam. I don't know what the Liam stands for.
Well, oleum is oil,
anyway.
Okay? Oleum, O-L-E-U-M, is basically oil. All right,
there we go.
Yeah.
You see, I knew you would know. So, Mel knows everything. And
not everything, okay? Almost everything.
Almost everything. You're my Google. So, wouldn't that be a nice card? So they had a competition.
You can send me a card saying, "You're my Google."
So they had an international competition. I think there were, it was 26 tasters, 1,000 blind tests that they had to do. And with only one South African entry, very proudly, De Rustica Olive Estate, which is also in the Western Cape, near to those mountains, Swartberg Mountains.
There's lots of mountains down there, Jenny.
and I know it wasn't Table Mountain. Anyway, they won. Out of the whole world. De Rustica in South Africa won as
well
got
done to you guys.
97 out of 100. Yeah, and there were only a few others that got in the 90s, and nobody got close to 97. And they were
because we're special.
Voted on a whole lot of different things. Yeah. Oh, I love olive oil, so I can't wait for that to try that one.
We have everything
wonder if
going
they
for us here in South Africa. We really do.
You do, Mal. Except that right now I see that you seem to have caught onto this crazy, it only seems to happen in English-speaking countries, this prime drink.
Blech.
Because
I looked at that.
It's this hype. What happened in South Africa that created the hype?
I have no idea. I mean, I went onto Facebook the one morning, and the next thing I've got like about 6 different stories in a row from people, friends on Facebook, going, what is this hype about Prime? And Prime is nonsense. And I'm sitting and thinking, Prime? Are we talking about like a transformer? Optimum Prime, I think Octopus Prime, which is where I got into a whole thing about transformers that look like octopi. But that's the way my brain works. It's a bit odd sometimes, I know. But then I said, what, 400 Rand for a bottle of Prime? But now there's another one which has come up as well. And then, which I saw this morning, but I can't remember what it was. Another water, which is being pushed by influencers, also at about 400 Rand a bottle. I'm sitting thinking,
400,
are you people stupid?
Not 40.
No, the bottle of water was like 400. And I'm saying, it's water, okay? It's water, okay?
Well, I saw that some officials in South Africa have said, they will support schools that ban it. Because, I mean, kids under 15 shouldn't be drinking it anyway. It's got double the amount of caffeine in a normal coffee and...
Well, I don't drink any energy drinks, but of the tests that they did when it came to what is actually efficacious in any way, surprising, I think it was Monster came out tops, and then like third, I think was kind of not Lucozade, Energade. My kids will drink Energade, but I won't allow them occasionally that other stuff that gives you wings, which I can't stand the smell of. I smell it and I want to throw up. But I mean, apparently it tastes like Kool-Aid, and I'm sitting and thinking, oh, I liked Kool-Aid when I was a kid. Kool-Aid was cool. That's why they called it that. And we used to eat it when it was dry, because you'd put it in to make Kool-Aid. Okay, I'm just thinking that these people obviously have been going on the electric Kool-Aid as a test if they're paying that much money for a cool drink.
And is it because I'm trying to understand, because here, it's in Europe and nobody cares. But I know that in England they had the same craziness. I know in Australia they've had to ban it at some schools, and America. So is it at all in South Africa? Is KSI and Logan Paul, are they well known?
I think that a lot of the influencers here probably take their cues from what the influencers overseas are doing and then jump on the bandwagon, because that's what influencers do, don't they? Maybe the people from those companies have gotten hold of the ones who've got the most followers here in South Africa, and they've been asked to, here, we'll give you some money, but push this. Who knows? I don't know. Yeah. I don't follow that world of things, because I just think it's,
weird phenomenon, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you haven't tried it yet. Very good news, totally different. No, I woke up this morning to all these headlines that South Africa has made it into the Cricket World Cup that's going to be in India later this year, because... sadly for Ireland, Ireland and Bangladesh's game
was washed out.
And so that
which
means
is the only reason we got in,
automatically qualified.
Yep.
It's like the South African coach said. He said, we're obviously chuffed because this makes it a lot easier. But South Africa did still stand a chance. We were number 8 in the league to and we still had some more matches to try and get in on merit. And it's because of beating the Netherlands that we were in a good position to go through automatically. So let's not take it away from us.
Okay. All right, well, staying on sports, I was very chuffed to see that our rowing teams did so well overseas. I mean, it's one of those sports that people look at and don't really follow all that much unless you're actually involved in it. I'm quite interested in it because my dad used to row, and of course, I mean, I've always followed the doozy when they have the doozy canoe marathon. Yeah. So it's one of the things that I do like watching.
And I think it's going to become bigger now because I think this was the first World Cup, rowing World Cup. So it's clearly got a bigger future than what it's had in the past.
And we took silver and bronze.
Yes. So silver for the men, bronze for the women. One was, I think the men were four person thing. And the women were two. Yeah. Fours,
so
and
pairs.
The women were two.
Pairs.
Yeah. Yes, thanks, Mel.
But they have to go into the coxless fours and the eights, and but well done to them, absolutely brilliant. Okay, and then what was it? Staying with somebody who's a sports person, but going on to the entertainment side of things. What is going on to Chad Leclos? Ospema?
Oh, he's got a movie coming out, which he's kind of launched, but it's only coming out in July, which we can't wait for, which is Born Racer. And journalists who have seen it say that it's a really brave look, really raw and open about what goes into becoming an Olympic champ, the sacrifices, the this, the that, so apparently that's going to be really good. And also Chad this week, but I still got something else to say about the Olympics. But Chad this week posted some photos of himself paddleboarding in Durban, which I was shocked to see was his first time ever paddleboarding. He must be so busy swimming. Yeah. Isn't that amazing that he's never...
Yeah, he's used to being in the water instead of standing on something, let's put it that way.
Yeah. So, and he looked like a natural because he's got those muscles that just, the core muscles that keep you standing. But Mel, there's some other good news for the Olympics. There are always complaints that SASCOC doesn't support the athletes enough. And we saw with the last Olympics in Tokyo just what it did for the country when South Africans were coming, getting podium finishes. It was just so uplifting. And so they have announced tomorrow they will be, no, not tomorrow, it's tomorrow, yeah, tomorrow. Thursday, May 11th. Yeah, I don't know when it is. They are going to be launching this OPEX program, which they've got a new sponsor, and they are going to be supporting SA athletes who have the potential to win medals at the Olympic and Paralympic Games next year in France. So, so that's great to see.
Cool. Okay. Oh, talking about big sporting events, you've got to let us know what you're going to be doing with the World Cup rugby.
I know, they're playing close by.
I know, you've got to start doing something. Go and get some interviews. Go and grab somebody by the ear, the cauliflower ear, and bring them into the studio. We'll discuss that further, but we will be keeping a very close eye on that because, of course, my blood is green. Right. Okay. We are actually kind of running out of time, and we've got so much good news this week. With the two South African hiking trails, which are best in the world. That's at Robberg in Plettenberg Bay and Cecilia Forest. Is that right?
Yep. In Cape Town.
Yep. But we all know that. I mean, I go walking all over the place, living up to the surname and all that. Westlife is coming to South Africa. I don't know if that's good news or not, but, it's for people who like Westlife, that's good for them. But I spend my time, obviously, hanging out and whenever I've got some spare time, trying to catch up on all the wonderful streaming platforms that we have here. And, of course, then there was a thing that was going around, I don't know if you happened to see it, that and it turned out to be fake news, but I don't know. I think maybe somebody leaked it, and there was such a backlash about this possibly being real, where you were going to have to get a a radio license for a radio in your car. When they try to bring up that you had to get a TV license if you had a monitor in your house, or a laptop that could actually play any kind of TV or anything. So I wouldn't be surprised. And then somebody just said, but does anybody actually watch the SABC anymore? And I'm like, surprisingly, most of the population, because most people can't actually afford DSTV or streaming services, so they still watch SABC. So like a good girl, I actually still do pay my TV license because it's the right thing to do. Remember that tagline?
Good girl.
Because it's the only way that people can actually be trained properly. And for a lot of people who live out in the sticks, who don't have the options that we do, to actually have some kind of TV coming to them, and they do still a lot of television for SABC. And don't forget, it's also all the radio stations that are part of the SABC family, which is for many people the only link that they have when it comes to communication. So people moan about the SABC, and I think it's usually the white middle class people who are sitting there and moaning about paying a paltry 280 rand a year. That's what it is. Why should we be paying a TV license for the SABC if we don't? You know what? Why don't you just invest in the future and invest in the rest of the country that has nothing? There. That was my soapbox for today.
There's always got to be something.
Yeah, there we go. But there is a lot of great stuff to watch. I've been really kind of amazed, apart from obviously sitting through the coronation and drinking gin and tonic and drinking eating a crown cake because my friend decided that would be the way to go. But what else is there coming up that you've seen that would be maybe interesting to expats living overseas, or something that's happening that's on South African screens that we'd enjoy?
Well, Spinners is coming up a bit later in the year, and Spinners has just won a bunch of awards, and I think I told you we interviewed the main actor.
Yeah.
We've got that interview coming up. So that's something definitely to watch out for wherever you are in the world. Spinners. Also, Recipes for Love and Murder coming out later this month. Apparently, it's going to be as good as Donkerbos.
Really? That's going to be a hard push, hey?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I'll keep an eye out for that.
And there's a scene that has Scottie Dogs versus Vuvuzelas. So it's a very South African thing. I think it's filmed in the Karoo. Beautiful landscape shots, blah, blah, blah.
Okay, I'll definitely watch out for that.
But we can talk about it closer to the time.
Okay, fantastic. All right, and what is the big story that you've got coming up on SAPeople.com in the next week?
That China is starting to drop America as its corn supplier. And, sorry, I forgot to turn off my phone. Everybody thinks I'm finished. And China's stopping and has cut some budgets with America and is importing its corn from South Africa. So, I mean, that's more money for South Africa. Power to SA. But we'll have the story.
Maybe we'll get some power at some stage. Yay. And, of course, this Sunday heralds Mother's Day here in South Africa. So I'd like to say to all of you who are living overseas, don't forget your mom, okay? Do get hold. I mean, I know in England and other places Mother's Day is on a different day. So if you're living and listening overseas, do say, hey, Mom, we love you.
And if you have a mom living in America, Australia, Denmark, Finland, Italy, Switzerland, Turkey, and Belgium, because my mom's in Australia, so I have to remember as well. They have the same Mother's Day.
Okay.
14th of May. Yeah. So
the second Sunday in May.
South Africa.
Yeah. So to all the mothers out there, whether you be fur mothers, whether you be single father, mother, grandmothers, you're all mothers. I wish you a very happy Mother's Day. And, of course, to my favourite little blonde sitting on the other side of the world from me at the moment, the other twin mom. We have a fantastic day, even if you don't celebrate the. You don't. When do you have Mother's Day in France?
In the last Sunday of May.
Oh, okay. So I'll have to wish you again, but I'll wish you from here.
Yeah.
And there we have it. Okay.
Happy Mother's Day to you.
Thank you very much. Yes, because I am a mother.
Mother of the year, mother of the century.
and mother of note and a mother from hell.
Mother of dragons.
That's the way to go. I have lots of dragons in my house. It has a sign outside that says, "Here be dragons." Because I'm a dragon tamer, not a dragon slayer. Anyway, enough of that. Jenny, we'll catch up with you again next week. Don't forget, of course, you can send your stories through to SAPeople.com and post them onto the Facebook page. We want to hear about the good news in your life. And even we've got to do, did you see the pictures of the World Gardening Naked Gardening Day? I'll send you those as well. That was great fun. It happened last weekend, and there were some people who took on the task and sent in their photos of them naked and gardening in the nude. Oh. We'll catch up with you again next week. Bye, Jenny.
Bye, Mel. Happy Mother's Day.
Another production from Solid Gold Podcasts.